Yeah, I mean, emotion, it's going to happen. Like, that's just a part of the guiding industry. And when it's 80 degrees every day and there's no wind, there's not much you can do to keep that emotion at bay because, you got guys like me. I drove 500 miles on a day to put together a hunt for our clients, and that hunt shot two ducks. And it had nothing to do with the hunting or the scout or anything. It was literally the birds were there and it was so warm, they didn't fly. They just stayed on the roost pond and loafed there for the morning. And there's just nothing you can do about that when it's 80 degrees, no wind, and a bluebird day. And that's gonna cause stress. That's gonna lower the morale. I mean, I can even look at it as me. I mean, I felt like shit. I mean, even though I put in all that work, I drove for 9 hours to do this hunt. Still, when it turns out like that, there's nothing you can do but hang your head on it. And that is stress that you're going to see in these guide services and in this kind of industry. And biggest thing you got to do when that happens is you got to lean on your teammates. These guys are here for you. Like in our group, we're family. I was pretty bummed, and Grant was pretty bummed, and we were all pretty bummed about the whole experience. But Sam, who actually guided the hunt that I scouted, he came in, chirped us up. He said, "Hey, y'all did great. This wasn't your fault. You guys still killed it." And like having that kind of pushback, having that support, you got to have that because in these stressful moments, these push points, these pain points, all of that's going on, it can cause people to lose who they are and lose, sight of the original goal of the company, which is control what you can control. And fuck, we tried our best. That's the best thing we could laugh and say at the end of the day is we literally, like, you cannot do much more than that. And it is what it is. On to the next day. We shot a limit this morning. It was great. Life's back on track, right? But, you just can't do it alone. You can't take on that stress alone. And that's what I was doing that day. And that is, you know what I mean? That's going to happen. And you're going to, on top of that, even with employees and other owners and stuff like that, I mean, when the birds aren't doing what they need to be doing, even though we're controlling everything else in the company, if the birds aren't doing what you want to be doing, everyone's going to be stressed. Everyone's going to feel like they have cinder blocks on their shoulders, and it is what it is. And you just have to find ways to deal with it and support each other because in a sad way, that's not going anywhere. You know what I mean? It'd be 20 years from now, right? And you're still not going to be finding ducks when it's warm out and you're going to go, fuck me, right? What am I going to do? I can't deal with it. It's stressful. And if you can't find a way to deal with it, then I don't know. Don't be a guide, I suppose. It's tough.
Yeah.
For sure, man. Logan, where you about to go?
Yeah, I was just going to say perfection's the enemy of progress in anything. Like if you think it's going to be perfect, it's likely going to let you down, right? Like you just can't think about it like that. So I like that perspective on it because it's easy as the motivator in the business, the one that's supposed to have the good mood all the time and hype everybody up and be the motivator to like get down on yourself, right? Because you're like, oh, I'm not doing a good job of, birds aren't working, whatever it is, but you just kind of have to pick yourself up every now and then.
Even as, like, say, the leader of the group, I'm going to have my off days. Monday, off day, right? But you have to look inward and take that support that you're going to get when your guys pick you back up, because they did. They picked me back up and helped me get back right on my feet. And you have to honestly, in a way, you have to let them in. You have to let them support you, even though that you're supposed to be leading. You can't be a leader every day. That's just not how life works. You're not going to wake up every day at 100% capacity, ready to go take on the world, right? You're not. When you get down like that, you have support systems around you. You have people who care about you, back up and get you back up there. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, and I think there's something to be said about that because, like, as a leader, this goes in outfitters and just in business in general. Like, I think like one of the biggest jobs as a leader is to develop leaders. And so you might be a leader, but you are developing the people underneath you to be able to support you in those days. And so what do you think you've done in the past that has made it to where they know, hey, when Hunter is having a bad day, they know what to do. They know what leading looks like.
Biggest thing you got to do, start small. Man, I'm not going to detail it too much, but a good example that I have is one of our employees, he made a mistake. Some stuff about happened because of the mistake, and he got reamed for it. Not by me, but by someone else. He got it pretty good. And he was down. I mean, he was really upset about it. It hurt him, it ruined the morale, right? But very next day, he shows up to work, and I was there and I was able to talk to him a little bit, and you got to pick them back up, right? Everyone's going to fuck up. This one was somewhat of a bad one, but when you do that, he didn't mean to. It's not necessarily his fault. Like, you can't just, if you just berate somebody over and over because of stuff like that, or on the flip side, if you have people like me who went scouting, hunt didn't pan out, and you go, what the hell, it sucked. Why didn't you try harder? I could have told you this was gonna not, I could have told you this hunt was gonna suck, or however you want to put negative demeanor on that conversation, just like the gentleman about the other incident. If you treat people like that, you constantly put them down, even though they're trying their hardest to do their job and they truly think that they're giving their best effort. You're not going to get anywhere. You have to assess the situation with, okay, here's what happened. Why did it happen? How can we solve it? But then on top of that, if you let them stew on that for days, it's just going to sour their mood even more. Talk to them. Hey, it's in the past, man. This happened yesterday. Today's a new day. We're back on our feet. I'm good. And then compliment them. You did great. This was fantastic. I love the way you bounced back. The scout yesterday didn't turn out well, but today's scout produced a 10-man limit, dude. You're on top of the world, right? Mm-hmm. You have to meet criticism with more positivity. There's a line there. Mm-hmm. If you're always criticizing, only being little so positive, you're not going to get anywhere. But if you're criticizing when you need to be, and you're picking your battles, but you're providing more positivity, more thank yous, more I appreciate you, I'm proud of you, you're doing a great job, it's okay, keep your head up. And then on top of that, vouch for him if there's a situation that needs to be done. When you do all that, man, it just comes naturally. Everyone picks each other up. And I can't say that we're perfect, because we're not. We still are working through that as a company. But what I'm not going to do is sit there and have one of my guys beaten up on themselves because of something either was a minute mistake or big mistake that they're going to learn from, or something that was out of their control. Like, if one of my guys goes out and drives for 4 hours and doesn't find any ducks, I mean, I can't put ducks in front of them, I can't just pull them out of the sky, right? But if they were doing everything they could and they were scouting at the best of their ability, and at the end of the day, they checked all the spots they were told to check and it didn't pan out, and we're just roll with that. And it's just a big game of picking your battles, but ending all of those battles with positivity.
Yeah. I think, it sounds like you're leading by example, so that they can, see what it looks like, and then they're able to go and mirror that back towards you when you're needing that. But there's one concept which I think we've talked about in the past podcast, but Logan uses it a lot, and he was the one who taught it to me. But I felt like that's what Hunter was saying, where you're making Logan, you can describe it better, but where you're making those like deposits in the leadership bank account or something like that. Can you explain that concept for them?
Yeah, it's just the concept of leadership capital in general, right? Is that in order to be able to have those tough moments where, you do have to give constructive criticism, or you do have to ask for something that, maybe on any given day may sound unreasonable, but there's a good why behind it. If you're not making those deposits and coaching and teaching them how to be a better leader, helping them to grow as individuals, teaching them how to learn a new skill, then one day when you kind of have to draw on that bank account, there's not going to be a balance there. You're going to go in the negative. And when someone's in the negative, it was just like positivity, right? They literally have negative feelings towards what you're asking them to do. So then they don't want to do it, right? And then it takes all that much more effort to get them to do what you need them to do.
Honestly,
100%.
No, what he's saying though, it balances off of everything that you're trying to do. So like, you look at us, even yesterday, I mean, I have so many examples. First week of season running doubles, you're going to get a lot of leadership examples in the first 7 days, right? We had a guy didn't necessarily come back with much from scouting, and we were sitting there having a quick little meeting talking about it, and we were like, well, I thought there was birds here, we thought this was going to be good. And we started talking about, well, did this person check this? Did this person check that? Did this person walk up this hill to see this pond? Whatever, right? And I went and I said, all right, guys, before we stop and say anything else, we need to stop and ask ourselves, was this person put in a position to succeed? Did this person know where to go? this person know what to look for? Did this person know how to access some of these ponds and properties that you necessarily can't just see from the window of a truck? Because this person doesn't scout out there all the time. This person's new. This is their first, this is their third or fourth time ever looking at this area. And we stopped and we went, no, they weren't. They were not put in a position to succeed because they were not given the necessary information. And so, like you said, Logan, instead of going in hot and bothered, chewing ass, what the hell happened? Why this, whatever, taking negativity out of or putting negativity in the bank account, that's on us. So you don't say a word. You say, hey, man, you did your best today. You came in, you tried, you did exactly what you knew how to do. Great job. Put some positivity, reflect on that as leaders and go, we didn't put our company in the right position to fully succeed today. That's going to happen.
Yeah, that just right now the leadership team here is reading the book Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink, I think is his last name. But yeah, that reminds me of a lot of his points is that it all falls back on the leader of the group. And if you send someone out on a mission to do something, if they didn't have all the right information, or if they didn't succeed for whatever reason, it's your fault. And just take that ownership. And I think that is telling them, hey, this isn't your fault. It's my fault. I didn't being honest, even though it's a hit to the pride, ego could be a huge blocker for a leader's potential to be able to lead a team because they're handing off fault to other people. It's the easiest thing to do. No one wants to be the owner of a failure. But if that person can go walk up to them and say, hey, that's my fault that didn't work out. I didn't set you up for success. I think that is just honestly one of the bigger ways that a leader can make one of those deposits. I think it's impactful letting down your ego and showing them this is how you lead. You take extreme ownership. And it sounds like you're doing a great job at that. In this time right now where it is hot, it's unseasonably hot up there. And maybe it's not unseasonably hot. Maybe it's just always like this at the beginning of every year. Y'all are going to get your ass handed to you. Whatever it might be. Yeah, whatever it might be, with the burnout, with the all that stuff, you can do all the leadership stuff and everything like that. But the reality is too, there's people that are going to get exhausted. Y'all are going to be pushing harder because it's more difficult. How do you go about giving them that time off? Like you were saying before the podcast, man, the wheels keep turning. People still have personal lives. People still need sleep. People still need, the necessary energy to get out and be successful the next day. So they're going to need time off. So how do you go about handling that while still trying to make up for the harder times?
Yeah, man, it's all about balance. Some guys can work harder than others. I shouldn't say work harder, can go harder is what I should say. We got people, Bob, for example, Justin, Bob, that man, seriously, he can run off 5 hours of sleep every single day and he's good. There's people like me. I got 9 hours of sleep last night, got up, guided a hunt, now I'm sitting here and I'm about ready to fall asleep in this office chair. Everybody's different, right? And you got to just adjust to the person based on what they need. And it's going to be different for every single person. But the big thing we do for all of our guys is if I have off days, this next, in 3 days, we have a little bit of off time. Giving employees nights off, afternoons off, mornings off, days off, whatever we can. Us owners, it's a little different. When you own the company, there's never really a true day off. But Sam, been guiding all of our pheasant hunts, that man has burned himself to the core. He is running harder than you could right now. And I told him, I said, dude, you need to take some time off. I said, you go, take your afternoon, take the next morning, take the next afternoon if you need to, and just breathe. We'll pick up your slack. You're good. Because every person is in a different position in this company right now, and every person has a different level of drive that they can sustain. You can't run, if you told all 10 of us to go run a mile, I can 100% promise you, nobody's finishing at the exact same time. Everybody's going to be finishing at different times, right? Same thing. You could say, hey, go work a 12-hour day. And one person's going to get the most stuff done, and one person's going to get the least stuff done, and there's going to be a solid line all the way up and down that trend right there. Everybody's different, and you got to just cater to what they need based on who they are, and that is very hard sometimes. So what you have to do is you have to set a standard. You say, all right, we're going to give afternoons off for employees, mornings off for employees. Sam, Bob, you guys busted your ass this week. Y'all take the afternoons off. Me and Grant will work and cover it, right? Or whatever. And you have to start with that standard, but then you have to read your employees and understand that if James is running around and his head looks like it's about to fall over off his body because his eyes can't even stay open, it's time for that man to go home. You can just sense this. Like, you can look at a person and go, "Yep, you're fucking baked. You need to go home. Like, it's done." And you can't push them. There's no pushing. It's, yeah, we have a million things to do, but you got to go rest. That's just gonna always be that during season. I mean, me, for example, I run office days for half my week. The other half of my week is guiding, scouting, and doing the main part of the job that I love, which happened to be Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday this week, and Wednesday, I guess half of today. But I went every single day getting up between the hours of 4:45 and 6:15 and guiding, hunting, scouting, everything. I mean, I spent like a combined 6 hours in my house over the last 6 days that was not sleeping. And like, that's just how it is. And I'm okay. I'm tired right now, but I'm not like burnt. Like, my brain's not going. I literally have to breathe. I'm like, I'm doing this podcast. I'm happy. I'm all right. And some people can do more than me. Bam, he can push harder than I can. Justin, he can push harder than I can. Other people, they can't. And so you have to find that balance and just adjust as necessary. And it's such a fine line you can walk, but once you figure it out, you're gonna just, like Logan's saying, extend happiness and extend positivity in that bank, because when you give them that time off, that's gonna mean something.
Yeah, and I think there's like one learning that I think there is like a you hit a point where someone is so tired or so exhausted, or maybe they've just been doing the same thing so many times in a row that like the quality starts to decrease. And you have to find that fine line, because I think you can tell them to keep going, but mentally their brain is just not there. And you can, like, by being the leader, being the boss, you could actually kind of over push them to the point where it's like, oh man, I've kind of overextended this person too far, and I'm actually not getting a good return. Not that it's all about good return on investment, but really you're not getting a good showing out of this person once you push them past that brink.
Yeah. And like, even better too, take it back to, did you put them in a place where they're going to succeed? Did you set them up for success? If you run them dry, are they really set up for success? No.
For sure. It's kind of going to change topics here, but with it being hot and obviously again more tension, not tension towards each other, just the frustration because everyone wants to excel.
Mhm.
How are y'all handling clients right now? Because I'm sure those clients come out excited, they want to shoot a bunch of birds. The reality is the weather isn't where it's at. We've talked about this multiple times, but now that you're in the thick of it, how are y'all talking to them?
You got to make it count. Like, you don't shoot any birds, right? You better be there. Go there. Just drink with them at the lodge. Talk to them. Spend time with them. Enjoy a meal with them. Yesterday, Grant's girlfriend baked cookies for our clients, fresh baked. They were amazing, right? Small. They loved them. I mean, if there's a way to go an extra mile, go that extra mile, because you can control that. And everybody wants to go out and shoot a 10-man limit of ducks every day, right? It's happen every single day. So you got to maximize with your ability to control the outside of the hunt aspects above all. And you know what? As an outfitter to other outfitters, sometimes you're not going to please them all. You're going to have, no matter what you do, you could literally get on your knees and bow to them and say, I'm so sorry that your hunt was not what you wanted. And they're still going to kick dirt in your face. And if that happens, you just got to, the most blunt way ever is say, fuck them. They're not my clients. Those aren't guys I want to have back in my lodge. And when they leave, so on and so forth, water under the bridge. Forget about them. We're still going to give them the best experience that we can. But if it's not going to work, it's not going to work. And you can't take that to heart because like we used to, I should say. I mean, we'd have a client who would make all these, passive aggressive comments or whatever, right? Just a random client would say something and it would eat at us for days, weeks after the hunt because it's like, God damn it. We spent a combined, in one day, we had 8 guys working 8, 10 hours a day to do this hunt for this guy and put all this on. And he's just over here shitting on it and it would piss us off. And now at the end of the day, you just can't let that bother you anymore. And then you're going to get these good clients. You're going to get those ones. We had these clients in this group these groups that we have in right now. They'd never shot ducks before. They took a 0 on their first day. We knocked the shit out of them today. Shot a speck. He's getting it mounted. Happiest guys ever. But yesterday, after the hunt, I had my lawyer over. I was giving him a tour of our lodge, and these clients were talking to us, and talking to my lawyer, and he was like, "Yeah, these guys' operation. This is the shit, right? This is the stuff." When you have clients like that, cherish them, take care of them. Of all things, outfitter to outfitter, step back and breathe. Go have yourself a glass of whiskey with these guys and sit back and just bullshit. Take 25, 30 minutes, an hour at the end of the night and put work away for a little bit and just enjoy the fact of why you started doing all this and sit and talk. And by then, you'll forget about all the bad.
100%. 100%. So how is the pheasant hunting played into it? Because now you have something that's a little bit more guaranteed that clients can go out and do after a hunt like that.
Pivotal. One of the groups we have in right now, they, like I said, same group, not a great duck hunt. They went out, beat up on the pheasants in the afternoon, came back happiest clients ever. It is absolutely amazing to have that option in the back pocket.
So was that something they paid for in advance, or was that something y'all did just because of the morning hunt?
They paid for the supplemented birds in advance, but like the other group that is in, they did not pay for it, but they saw they went and they decided they wanted to go do that. So we charged them a lesser rate than we charged the other to allow them to go hunting because there's no supplemented birds for them. So although there's still plenty of birds out there, and I'm getting texts right now that they're shooting them, so it's all that matters, right? But they are we charge a lesser rate and we say go at it, have fun, and it's a day maker. Like one of the gentlemen that we offered that to, he literally said, he goes, "This makes my entire trip." Even like he goes, this is just a cherry on top. This makes the entire trip. Thank you.
That is awesome. I'm trying to think of like what other stuff people could do. Like if they don't have access to do like pheasant, what are some other things? So there's like, yeah, there's baking cookies, but like if there is a bad hunt and it's slow and it's hot, what are some things that y'all have done in the past?
We've done clay shooting. We've done some evening. We've done desserts like multiple times. One time we had a really poor hunt where it was colder than shit and the snow geese didn't fly. And I went and doing just a normal meal. I smoked a prime rib. And like I went out a little bit above. I made, a jus sauce. I made I took our meals and I did my Gordon Ramsay impression of it, I should say. Best I absolutely could. And then we bought some bites and some other stuff like that to like just make absolutely sure everything was as perfect as we could. So
yeah, I like it. Well, cool guys. Next week we're going to be in person. We're Logan and I and a couple other teammates are actually going to be packing up and headed up to Nebraska to get the opportunity to shoot some content with Hunter and his team and also get to shoot some birds. A lot of us get our first pheasant hunt in with them. So, Hunter, we're excited to see you, man. And we're appreciative of everyone for sticking around and listening to the GuideTech Podcast. And we'll see you next week with a live podcast with Hunter at his lodge for the GuideTech Podcast episode number 30 that we're going to be dropping next week. So we'll see you all then. See you guys.